Welcome everybody to my channel. I'm Mike Rondo in the Shed of Solitude. It is a lot warmer than yesterday's videos. We're cooking up to 46 degrees. So all is good. I had to bundle up a little. That's why I buttoned the shirt. Normally I don't button my shirts like this unless I'm at work, but this I'll have to do. It just keeps me nice and toasty. But today's video, like yesterday, a bit different. Now, this isn't something I haven't done in the past. I've done a couple of book reviews, if you will. I did one on Jurassic Park, and I think there was another one I might have done that was 100 years ago. But today we're going to read, let's see, Richard Yates, Disturbing the Peace. And this particular copy, I got on, where did I get it? Book Depository. Yes, and don't get that confused with the Book Depository in Texas with the Kennedy assassination and that whole tragedy. That's what they call bookdepository.com. And the reason I went there is because this particular cover, you can only get, it's from Vintage Classics, which I like. I have a few of them in here. And so you can't get these covers in America. Well, like if you go on Amazon, you're not really going to find this. I suppose you could if you really hunted. I tried, couldn't do that, but I found it on the Book Depository, and I got it because, well, there was a YouTuber, a young woman who was, because I'm into BookTube and whatnot. I'm not part of BookTube. I like books. It's nothing new. That's no secret here at this channel. And she had a book haul, and she was doing a video, and she pulled this one out and showed the cover. I said, well, it's a pretty cool cover art. That's pretty neat. I like that. It's like old school Frank Sinatra kind of vibe going. And then she read the description on this book. And this book, it summarized, if I remember right, because I read this a while ago, like a month ago. But in summary, John Wilder is a successful person at work and all that. He's got everything going for him in a sense. But his home life, he's not interested in his family. He dreams of doing better things. He's got like this existential crisis, so to speak, which we all come to a few times. Well, usually it's when we're younger we have that. But I guess when you're middle age, you kind of have that, oh shit, time's running out kind of thing. And that's kind of what this is, which appealed to me right away when she said that, because I'm like, wow, okay, that's right up my alley. I'm 46 now, so I'm in my mid-40s, getting closer to 50 now. And I'm like, oh, interesting stuff. I got to get it. So I had to get the book. The cover art appealed to me, and the description appealed to me. And, well, hold on a moment. Let me have a quick puff of the pipe. So now, this book, when you get it, and you start out in the beginning, John Wilder, to me, was kind of relatable. It reminded me of who I was about 9, 10, 12 years ago. Kind of an asshole, selfish asshole. And that's not to say I'm not perfect now, because I got plenty of flaws. We're all flawed human beings and whatnot. And now, in my life, I try to get up each day, be a better person than I was the day before and whatnot. But this takes place, he's 39, I believe, in the book, if I remember right, 38, 39. It ends with him around 40, 42, I think, by my calculation, if I remember right. So it starts out, he's got a wife, he's got a kid, pretty good job, but it's one of those mundane, boring jobs, which is right there is where I related, the boring, mundane life. You did all the hard work when you're in your 20s and 30s, early 30s, and then you get to a point you're like, well, what the hell is all this about? What am I doing with my life, right? And you realize the dreams and hopes you had as a young man or a woman in your teens and in your 20s and whatnot, they faded by. They went by quick, and then you're in your 30s, and you're like, oh, crap. What's going on here? Now, John, as you go further in the book, he's a bit of a slimeball. The way he thinks about things is kind of dickish, if you will. He treats his wife horrible. The kid, he can't relate, which is something I think all fathers, when you have a kid, you don't know how to relate to him sometimes. And so that kind of hit home a little bit too. But hold that thought. As the book goes on, it's kind of intriguing and, well, I'll save that. But in any case, so this character, kind of relatable. There was a few things where I related to him. One of them being when he was younger, he struggled in school and he couldn't read fast, which is something that happened to me. I got dyslexia, so when I was younger, it was like impossible for me to read. It was horrible. And then when the teacher called, you freeze up and you don't know what to do, and you sound like a fool and whatnot. So I related to that and all these things. It gets a little psychological, and you see his makeup and stuff, but he takes it to a different direction that I certainly wouldn't have gone down. But I'll say this about the book. What I love about these books, like this was written, let me just see real quick. I want to say the late 60s or early 70s. And Robert Yates, he's got, let's see. I don't have, good, I do have it. My magnifying glass here. So this was, 75 it was written. I think that's right. Let me just make sure. Yeah, so 75, and Richard Yates here, I keep saying Robert, but Richard, he was I don't know if he was a speechwriter, but he was involved with I think Robert Kennedy, involved with one of writing his speeches or something like that, which was interesting itself. But one of the things that I love about reading these books 20, 40, 30, 50, 60, 100 years ago, like Christopher Morley. Now, I haven't read everything from Christopher Morley, but I've read a good chunk. I've read some of the classics that have language that would not fly today. And this, probably in recent memory, probably the most, by today's standards, most offensive book with the language and what's said in it. But it fits the times. It fits the book, in a sense. It kind of, when all this takes place, the way people spoke and stuff. And people still speak like it's in this book today. That's nothing new. It's just people aren't as public about it. But very interesting to go back and read how people sounded and talked. And it's funny because Christopher Morley, he says some, I guess at times he says some, well, language at the time, I would say that. Doesn't mean he was trying to be derogatory or whatnot. It was just the word usage at the time. Same thing with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle at times. There's a few, especially in the case book of Sherlock Holmes, which is not one of the more popular. It's like the last book of the Sherlock series, and it's I'll do a review on that. That's an interesting thing anyway. But the language is very interesting. And by the way, I'm just checking my levels for my microphone. I may cut out at times. I had a problem yesterday. Hopefully it didn't bleed into any of the videos in today. So I may have to edit this if I have any, so it might be choppy. But anyway, moving on to the language of the book. Very fascinating to go back and listen to that language. But this is very, like someone younger reading this would probably be like, oh my God, they talk like that, and be shocked. And speaking of younger people, now with this book, I wish I had read this initially when I was in my mid-20s, like 27-ish. Because the thing about this book, this is one of those books where you got to read it at a few different times and stages in your life. And this, I wish I'd read it at 27, and then I wish I read it at 37, and then I probably, I read this, so, all right, that's 46, I read this for the first time. Interesting, but I know I want to go back and read this, not anytime soon. You got to let this kind of marinate in your head, the back of your head, for the next 15 years, I think. So probably when I'm like 65, 60-ish, I would go back and read this and see what I think about it and see what stage I'm in life at that point, and if how I can relate and if I changed anything or whatnot. So, but anyway, the one thing you can admire in this book is he swung for the fences in one way. He took a chance. He, said fuck it, right? There's, like in life, like everyday life, which I struggle with quite a bit, is that whole existential, you only live once kind of thing. What's the point of all this? There's the absurdism and all that stuff, and you're like, hey, F it, I'm only going to live once, so I'm going to go do what I want. Is that reality? Well, I don't know. I mean, you come into this world alone, you die alone. What the hell? You might as well go do what you want at the end of the day. Who cares what people think? If they like you, they don't like you, you know, that whole thing. But there are strings that hold most of us back from doing something irrational or crazy, right? Which isn't always good, but, you know. So he does that, and it kind of backfires, which in one way is a good thing. As you're reading this, you're like, well, is he going to get his happy ending? And then you say, well, that's kind of Disney-esque if he gets his happy ending. And it certainly does not happen in this book. There is no happy ending. At one point you think, yeah, all right, like little after the mid part of the book, you're like, oh, all right, so I'm curious where this is going to go, where he's doing his thing. But then there's an incident, and you're kind of like, okay, the wheels are going to fall off now. True to life, the wheels are going to fall off, and shit's going to hit the fan. And, you know, the thing about that is, after you get by that part, it gets really weird and bizarre, and not necessarily, I don't think, in a good way. It kind of got sloppy, like the wheels kind of almost fell off the bus. Like at least two of the wheels fell off the bus, like one in the front and one in the rear over here. But there's still two others, and it's kind of functioning, kind of thing. And it seemed like the author finished the book kind of sloppy, which sounds horrible to say because obviously the effort that went into writing the book, and it was very personal. From what I understand, this is a very almost autobiography of Mr. Yates. But it kind of gets sloppy. It kind of takes a weird turn where you start questioning, well, what the hell did I just read? Does this make sense? Does that make sense? I wouldn't call it a plot twist. It's just, you kind of were going, all right, we're going to go in this direction or that direction, but it kind of like blends things that you had previously read. At least that's how I interpreted it. And you're like, huh? I'm not sure if I really like that. I'm not sure, because I was really hyped up. Like, halfway through the book, I'd say, yeah, it was one of my top reads. It's still my top read of this year, but it like, you know, when you're looking at your top 20 books or whatever, you're like, oh, this is going to make it, this is going to make it. Then you get to midway to the end, and it's like, oh, damn. I mean, it's still enjoyable. I highly recommend this book to someone who's in their 27. Read it. Maybe it'll spark you to get off your butt. And then when you're 37 or 40, maybe reassess where you are in life. And this may be that kick in the butt, so to speak. And then later on in life, just to see how the character is to you. Because the guy is a piece of shit, if you ask me, by the end of the book. And as you reflect on yourself, you know, one of the things we have a problem with in society is we project ourselves onto characters in movies and all these things, which can be dangerous. You got to have that healthy dose of like projecting your emotions and feelings and experiences onto a character, but you got to do it in a responsible way. You go too far, you end up being a crazy fan that whines and complains about everything. And this just kind of, I guess it's a good warning of like, this is not where you want to end up. You don't want to be John Wilder at the end of the day in your mid-40s. You don't want to end up where he is. But anyway, that's what this is it for this review. It's nothing special. I just wanted to do something a little different. I did talk about books before. I'll probably do it again in the near future. I'll talk about a book again. This, I was just going off the top of my head. I don't have any bullet points or anything like that. Like yesterday's true crime video, I was kind of just all in here. Not like in the old days when I was podcasting. I'd have bullet points and all these things, and things would sound like they make more sense. So I kind of jumped around the last two videos, and I apologize, but it's coming from straight from the mind there. But anyway, that's going to do it for this video. If some of you booktubers just found this channel, welcome. I hope you like my kind of half-ass review. But I do recommend this book. It's worth checking out. Anyway, I'm going to finish my pipe, and I will talk to you guys on the next video.